Most people think the hardest part of investing is choosing the right stock. It isn't. The hardest part is reaching your first $10,000. That number doesn't sound impressive when you hear stories about millionaires and billion-dollar companies. But ask almost any experienced investor about the biggest turning point in their financial life, and many will tell you it wasn't buying a particular investment. It was getting enough money invested for compound growth to finally become noticeable. The journey from $0 to $10,000 is different from every stage that comes after it. During this period, your paycheck does most of the work. Your investments contribute very little. Every dollar you save matters more than every percentage point you earn. That's why this stage feels slow, painfully slow. And because it feels slow, many people quit before they ever experience what investing can actually do. Imagine pushing a heavy flywheel. The first few pushes barely move it. You use energy, but nothing seems to happen. Then, after enough consistent effort, the wheel begins turning on its own. Every additional push becomes easier because momentum has taken over. Building your first investment portfolio works exactly the same way. The first $10,000 is your flywheel. Once it starts spinning, your money begins helping you create more money. The challenge is surviving the beginning. One of the biggest myths about investing is that you need a lot of money before you start. That belief keeps millions of people waiting for the perfect moment. They tell themselves they'll invest after getting a raise, after paying off every bill, after buying a house, after life becomes less expensive. But somehow that day never arrives. The truth is that investing isn't something wealthy people do because they're rich. It's one of the habits that often help them become wealthy in the first place. Another common mistake is believing that investing is about finding hidden opportunities. People spend hours watching financial news. They chase trending companies. They worry about buying at exactly the right time. Meanwhile, someone quietly investing a fixed amount every month into a diversified portfolio often ends up with better long-term results, not because they predicted the future, but because they stayed consistent. Consistency is one of the most underrated financial advantages. Think about brushing your teeth. Missing one day usually isn't a disaster, but skipping the habit for years eventually creates expensive problems. Investing works in reverse. One investment won't change your life. Hundreds of small investments made consistently over many years often will. That's why your first goal isn't becoming an expert investor. Your first goal is becoming a consistent investor. Notice the difference. Experts focus on knowledge. Consistent investors focus on behavior. Behavior usually wins. Before choosing investments, you need something even more important, a financial foundation. Imagine building a skyscraper on soft sand. No matter how beautiful the building looks, it eventually becomes unstable. Your investment portfolio needs a stable foundation too. That starts with controlling high-interest debt. If you're paying extremely high interest every month, earning average investment returns may not improve your overall financial position. Next comes an emergency fund. Unexpected expenses happen to everyone. Cars break down, appliances fail, medical bills appear. Without emergency savings, many people are forced to sell investments at exactly the wrong time. That's not an investing problem, it's a cash flow problem. Your investments should be allowed to grow without constantly being interrupted by life's surprises. Once those basics are in place, the next step is surprisingly simple. Open an investment account that fits your country's available options. Choose diversified investments instead of trying to predict individual winners. Automate regular contributions, then repeat. Simple doesn't mean easy. It means the process is straightforward while your emotions make it difficult. Human psychology constantly tries to interrupt long-term investing. When markets rise quickly, people become greedy. They believe prices will continue climbing forever. When markets fall, fear takes over. They suddenly believe investing has become dangerous. Ironically, both emotions often lead people to buy high and sell low. The market doesn't usually defeat beginners. Their emotions do. This is why automation is so powerful. It removes decision-making from the equation. Instead of asking yourself every month whether now is a good time to invest, the investment simply happens automatically. Your future becomes less dependent on motivation and more dependent on systems. Systems outperform motivation because motivation changes with your mood. Systems continue working even on days when you don't feel inspired. Imagine climbing a staircase. Here's something that surprises many new investors. The size of your investment returns matters far less in the beginning than the size of your contributions. Imagine two people. One spends months trying to earn an extra 2% every year by constantly switching investments. The other simply increases their monthly investment by $50. Over the first few years, the second person often builds wealth faster, not because they found a better investment, but because they invested more consistently. This is why increasing your savings rate can be more powerful than chasing higher returns when you're building your first $10,000. Many beginners believe investing starts in the stock market. It actually starts in your monthly budget. Every unnecessary subscription you cancel, every impulse purchase you avoid, and every raise you partially save creates more fuel for your portfolio. Think of your budget as the engine. Your investments are the destination. Without fuel, even the best investment strategy can't move you very far. This is where lifestyle inflation quietly becomes the enemy. You receive a raise, your income increases, but your spending grows just as quickly. A nicer phone, a more expensive car, more dining out, more subscriptions. None of these decisions feel dramatic on their own. Together, they quietly consume the money that could have been invested. Successful investors often don't avoid lifestyle upgrades completely. They simply delay some of them long enough for their investments to begin working. A useful habit is to treat every raise as an opportunity to pay your future self first. If your salary increases by $500 each month, consider directing part of that increase straight into investments before adjusting your lifestyle. You won't feel like you're losing money because you never became accustomed to spending it. This small habit compounds just as powerfully as investment returns. Another challenge appears once you finally begin investing. The market moves. Some days your portfolio goes up, other days it falls. For many beginners, the first market decline feels personal. They wonder if they've made a mistake. They question whether they should stop investing altogether. But market declines are not unusual events. They're part of investing. Imagine planting a tree. You wouldn't dig it up every week to check whether the roots are growing. You understand that healthy growth happens below the surface long before you see visible results. Your investment portfolio works in much the same way. Progress is often invisible before it becomes obvious. This is why checking your portfolio every hour rarely helps. It often increases anxiety without improving results. Instead, focus on the actions you control: your savings rate, your investment schedule, your long-term plan. The market decides returns. You decide discipline.